welcome to Davita's Stampin' Spot. It's Tuesday, and today I decided to share with you a card that I just think is a kind of a fun fold with a little bit of a twist in it. So let's get started. We're going to use the Most Wonderful Time stamp set. This is the stamp set that goes with the refill kit. I love this tree. I don't know what it is about that, and I like how the bows match up with the presents. So we're going to use that. We're going to use all, but I think these two green, well, I guess there's three we won't use today. So the first thing we're going to do is create our card base, and this time I'm taking a full sheet of cardstock. So it's 8.5 by 11, and I'm using real red, and we are going to score at 4 1/4, which is half of the card. We're going to score all the way across. Then we're going to turn it, and we're going to score all the way across the other direction, which is 5 1/2, so that I have 4 squares. Now, if we're thinking about the inside of a card, this is going to be the inside, so we want to cut off this section here. So I'm going to put it back in my paper cutter or my paper trimmer, and we're going to cut up the score line now to the corner, turn it, and we're just cutting off this one section. Alright, and I'm always worried I'm going to go too far, and that time I didn't go quite far enough. So I'm going to snip it just a little bit farther. Alright, so this is what we have, okay? So the card is going to close this way. Now, I'm going to fold this part down, and I want to make sure that I get a nice crease. So I'm actually going to put it back in my paper trimmer, and I'm going to shorten this section just a little bit. We're going to take off just a little bit so that when this is closed, the card will close over nicely. Okay? Like that. Alright. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the classic label punch, and we're going to make a slit in the top here, or a slot, I guess I should say. So what's nice about this is halfway is where the point goes, and I'm going to space it over so I have about a 1/2 inch there, and then I'm going to go over a little bit more so I have about a 1/2 inch on the other side. That. Okay. Now if you do like I just did there and you didn't quite line it up straight, just take your scissors and fix it. Okay. Not going to be a big deal. Alright, so there's our pocket with the opening, so it looks like that. Okay, now I have, and I will put all the dimensions down below for everybody, but this piece of cardstock that I'm going to use next is, let's see here, 4 1/2 by 2 1/4. And this piece here is going to slide in and out right here, okay? So that's what we're doing. We're creating this little pull-out piece. So I took a piece of the Heartwarming Hugs Designer Series paper, and I cut it so that it's just 1/4 of an inch in on both sides. We're going to put it, and I'm going to put it a little bit to the top. Here, you'll notice I cut it a little bit shorter, but the reason I did this is because it's going to be inside here. We didn't need to go all the way down. If you're a real OCD and you want to drop it down another 1/4 of an inch, you can. Alright, so where'd I put... Oh, looks like maybe I forgot my white paper for that section. So we'll grab a piece of white cardstock. Isn't it amazing? You think you get all the pieces just the way you want it, and then you got to cut some more. So I have some scraps here, so I'm going to measure this one, and it's 2 by 4, so I'm going to do this 1 3/4. I'm just going to go down 1/4 of an inch. And I forgot that it's 4. Yep, okay. So by 3 3/4. All right. There we go. And the most wonderful is a polymer set, so I'm going to bring in my foam mat and some paper here. And I want to stamp a little greeting on this so that when it pops out, it says, "Hope you have a wonderful Christmas." And I'm going to stamp that in Mossy Meadow. And it's so nice with our designer series paper because on the back it tells us what colors are in the paper. A little crooked. Let's try again. All right, one more time here. There we go. That's better. And then I always have to add just a little something. So in this set there are some dots and stars. So I'm going to put one just on the 2 catty corners there like that. And then we're going to glue it onto the designer series paper. Like this. All right, so I want my little pull-out piece to stay inside the base. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a block down here so that it can't go through. So what I did was I just punched some of the classic label punch pieces out of some scratch paper, and I'm going to glue it on probably about like that. Now if you're sending this to somebody that's just real strong and they pull hard on things, you may want to double it up so that you have a pull-out piece here on both sides. So you take another one and put it like this, so you make sure that they don't pull it all the way out. But for this one I'm just going to do just the 2 pieces. So now we're going to slide it inside here like that and up like this. Now the thing you want to watch before we do the next step is see how these are sticking out. We're going to use tear tape to go around here, and we want to make sure this doesn't get caught in that. And the reason I'm telling you that is I learned it the first time when I put this together today. So because and the reason I'm cutting it off like this is because depending on how big you cut your hole here, you need to make sure they're wider than that. Okay, so that's why we didn't cut them ahead of time. You can see I didn't quite get them square, but it's not going to matter, like that. So we're going to take tear tape and close up our sides. The sides aren't as important as probably the bottom. You want the bottom pretty tight so that that piece doesn't accidentally slide out. You want to keep the pocket closed. Alright, and one more little piece like this. Okay, so now we're going to close up the pocket. You're going to be seeing this, recording it actually ahead of time for once. So hopefully you're going to actually see this on Tuesday instead of having to wait till Wednesday. So probably should have done a Thanksgiving theme since it's the week of Thanksgiving, but I wanted to use up some of my Christmas paper. So, all right, so we're going to put it in there like that. Make sure, okay, so see I'm checking, and as that slides, it's going to be fine because we've got space in between the tear tape because we don't want it getting stuck on that tear tape. So now we're going to close that up like that. So now when you pull it, it stays. It goes down like this. Oh, I told myself I wasn't going to forget this. All right, so this is the trio punch, and I meant to punch the hole in here before I put it in the card. but we can do it now. You're going to want it after you get all your layers on there, but it's easier if you do it before you put it inside there. But that's going to punch out our hole there. Okay, so that creates our pull-out piece. And what's it catching on? I guess that paper there. All right, so I cut a little piece of the Mossy Meadow twine, and we're going to go from the back into the front of the hole, and then just pull these through the loop that's in the center and pull it tight like that. So that's your pull-out piece. So now we're just going to decorate. So I decided it would be fun to put a strip here on the front like that, but I need to do a little stamping. So like I said, I love this tree, so I'm going to stamp the tree in Mossy Meadow. And I want to put a greeting at the top, but a star at the top and a greeting at the bottom. So I'm going to try to stamp it pretty much in the middle. And then I right away want to grab my blender pen, and I'm going to pull ink from the stamped image to fill in the color, the inside of the tree, like this. I like it when you just have a real soft image on the inside, and you want to do it a little bit quickly if you can, so that you can get that ink before it dries real well. You can see it's a little lighter over here because the ink's drying. All right, so that color's in there. Remember, with your blender pen, dry it on the, or clean it out on your scratch paper. Then we're going to stamp a star at the top of my tree. And the saying in this set that I think goes perfectly with this is, "Oh, Christmas tree." So we're going to stamp it in real red. The colors in this designer series paper are real red, Mossy Meadow, pear pizzazz, and white. All right, so we're going to stamp "Oh, Christmas tree." And then I thought it was a little plain up there, so on the first one that I designed, I stamped some of these stars, and then I got a little carried away. So I think this one I'm going to leave plain, but you can see this one has the little stars like I stamped on that inside piece. I'm going to glue it on to my Mossy Meadow, and I'm going to use dimensionals. All right, so we'll flip this over. I'm using the minis. Pull those pieces off. I think this is a fun card for somebody that's just so used to getting just our regular card with nothing different. Somebody that really appreciates just a little bit of a twist from the normal card. And then I'm going to use adhesive to put my designer series paper down. And then my tree. This glue bottle and I are having issues. It keeps wanting to dump glue where I don't want it. All right. There we go, like that. And then this was just too plain inside, so I'll stamp first and then I'll show you what I did there. I took a piece like this and I'm going to stamp my tree again in green, and I thought for variation this time I'm not, oh, I guess I did color it in. Okay, so we're going to color it in again. And one of the fun stamps in this set is there's candy canes. So it looks like you've hung candy canes on the tree. So we're gonna hug candy canes. I should have colored this one ahead of time. You've already seen how to do this. Try to do it real quick. All right. There we go. All right, so we're gonna stamp the candy canes in red, and you can kind of look and see the way they're designed to go up at the top like that, and then over here, and then a third one on that side. So you get candy canes all over your tree. And then I'm going to mount it on some real red cards. Did I stamp on the wrong? I stamped on the wrong one. All right, so this one would actually be on this side so that it would be like that. Okay, I'm not going to take time for you to watch me do that again, but I wanted to show you the presents, which I just think this is just so cool. So often we're trying to figure out, well, how do we stamp these and make them look like they're not all stamped in one color, and Stampin' Up! Answered it for us this time. So this is the Pear Pizzazz ink. We're going to ink up the presents, stamp them, and they've made the bows a different color. So the first one that I made, my sample I'm going to show you, I did it in 2 shades of green. So I used Pear Pizzazz and Mossy Meadow. But for this one, I think we'll give them a red bow, just so you can see the difference. And the nice thing is that with this, the presents, you can use this year round. And there you go. Doesn't that line up nice? And that way you get the 2-tone color on this. And we're going to just mount it on some Mossy Meadow. Like that. Okay. So now we're going to come back to this. I pulled out some of the striped designer series paper. And we're going to mount it here in the middle section. I was showing this to Kent and we were talking about it. And if you wanted to, you could also have a space here to where they could write more if you want to write more. And if you don't want to, then you can just cover it up with design. So I left this open, so if I decide that I need to write some more, I can just put a piece of white cardstock in here. But I'm going to put the presents right there. All right. And we're going to put the other designer series paper. If you cut your strips at 4 inches and then cut them this way, they actually line up nicely. So the lines kind of continue and it's not too much pattern to where your eyes kind of freak out. Just about to the end of this glue bottle. Told you that, and then I turned it around. There we go. So see how that lines up nice? Like that. And then if I had cut that right here is where that Christmas tree would go. So it would go just right there like that. So they have, this is the front, then they open it up, they pull out the tab. Oh, got glue on my paper. Oh, good grief. There we go. Pull out the tab. And then they've got their Christmas there. And you know, the first one I didn't have any of those issues. So let's grab that. Here we go. Here's the front, the middle, and then it just pulls right out like that. And it's nice because it stops it. And there you go. There's one that's just a little bit more, a step up. Probably an Avid just because of all the different pieces and stuff. But just a fun Christmas card that you could make for someone special. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing this. I will post a comment with the dimensions for the paper if you want to copy this. Or you can always shoot me an email and I'll be happy to send all that information to you as well. Hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving with family. Please stay safe, and we'll see you next week.